So what is up, guys? Brendan Suter back, and today we are here with NFL Week. Russell Wilson, Damar Hamlin, and Will Lutz. It is NFL Week 3 predictions. Last week, I was 11-5, so a nice rebound after an 8-8 start. Anyways, if you're looking to watch certain matchup, timestamps are in the description box below. So click on that match you want to see. Anyways, we've got another 16 matches to get to. So without further ado, let's get this video. So we are starting off with our Thursday Night Football matchup and a rematch of the 2011 NFC Championship game between the New York Giants and the San Francisco 49ers. Starting off with the Giants, should I be impressed that you erased a 28-7 deficit? I would say yes, but it was the Arizona Cardinals, so you shouldn't have even been down 28-7 to begin with. Starting off, Daniel Jones had a very solid game, threw for 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Saquon Barkley led rushing with 63 yards and a touchdown, but he is out with a high ankle sprain, so that is a huge loss towards the running game. In terms of receiving, lead receiver was Jalen Hyatt with 2 receptions for 89 yards. Darren Waller, 6 receptions, 76 yards, and then Darius Slayton, 3 receptions, 62 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was pretty pathetic in the first 3 quarters, but of course he locked up the Cardinals in the fourth. But to be fair, once again, this should not have been a close affair. And then with the Niners, just a solid victory over the LA Rams. Brock Purdy once again proving that he doesn't need to be Superman as he threw for 206 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher Christian McCaffrey did it all, ran for 116 yards and a touchdown. Deebo Samuel had 38 yards and a touchdown, and then Brock Purdy 5 yards and a touchdown. So very good on the run game. Lead receiver Deebo Samuel, 6 receptions, 63 yards, followed by Jawan Jennings, 2 receptions, 51 yards, and then Brandon Ayuk, 3 receptions, 43 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I'll be honest, the only thing I'm going to knock you for is getting lit up by Puka Nacua. But could he be this new rookie sensation? Who knows? Anyways, the Niners are 10-point favorites to win this one, so easily they're going to win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first Sunday matchup with 2 teams that have been big disappointments this year between the LA Chargers and the Minnesota Vikings. Starting off with the Chargers, a tough 27-24 loss to the Titans in overtime. Justin Herbert, though, had a great game. Threw for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. The run game, there really wasn't like a headline back because Austin Eckler was out, so Joshua Kelly led rushing with 39 yards. It was pretty rough. Lead receiver Keenan Allen proving he still has something in him as he had 8 receptions for 111 yards and 2 touchdowns. Followed by Mike Williams, 8 receptions, 83 yards, and then Gerald Everett, 3 receptions, 47 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense was pretty disappointing considering how Ryan Tannehill had an admirable game. And then with the Vikings, a lot like your Week 1 loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the X factor was the turnovers. You had 4 lost fumbles in the game. Despite all the efforts by Kirk Cousins, threw for 364 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, a masterclass. But you know what was not a masterclass? Alexander Mattison leading rushing with only 28 yards. Anyways, moving on, lead receiver, who else but Jay Jettas, 11 receptions, 159 yards. Followed up with Jordan Addison, 3 receptions, 72 yards and a touchdown. An excellent pickup in the draft, especially as Adam Thielen is now on the Panthers. TJ Hawkinson, 7 receptions, 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. That was pretty much it. The defense, you couldn't really stand with the Philly. I mean, they ran for 259 yards on you. For real, man. Anyways, there currently is no favorite, but I'm going to say that the Chargers pull out the victory. And now you have our very next matchup, a rematch of Super Bowl 26 between the Buffalo Bills and the Washington Commanders. Starting off with the Bills, I mean, you won 38-10 against the Raiders. Was I expecting that? Of course I was, but you know what? I'm going to be kind because Josh Allen had a great game, threw for 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. You guys had 183 ground yards of the game, led by James Cook with 123 yards, but the touchdowns came from Damian Harris and Latavius Murray. Lead receiver was Gabe Davis, 6 receptions, 92 yards and a touchdown. Followed by Stephon Diggs, 7 receptions, 66 yards. And then Dalton Kincaid, 5 receptions, 43 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, sure, the only guy that they had trouble against was Devontae Adams, but I can't fully rip on you guys for that. But the Commanders, a miraculous 35-33 victory against the Denver Broncos. Sam Howell, a solid game, especially in the second half, threw for 299 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Brian Robinson with 87 yards and 2 touchdowns in the day. Lead receiver, who else but Scary Terry, 5 receptions, 54 yards and a touchdown. Followed by John Bates, 3 receptions, 46 yards. And then Antonio Gibson, 3 receptions, 44 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I mean, Russell Wilson lit the skies on fire against you guys. But in the end, you guys were just able to keep them down, and you stopped that 2-point conversion. So incredibly clutch. Currently, the Bills are 6.5-point favorites to win this one. And yeah, I believe them. So Bills win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between my boys in the New Orleans Saints and the Green Bay Packers. Once again, a few years ago, I would have loved it because it's Drew Brees versus Aaron Rodgers. Now it's Derek Carr versus Jordan Love. Anyway, starting off the Saints, a nice 20-17 victory over the Carolina Panthers. Derek Carr, he was okay, threw for 228 yards, no touchdowns, and a pick. Lead rusher was Taysom Hill with 75 yards, followed by Tony Jones Jr. with 34 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jamal Williams had 29 yards, but he did go out with injury, so it's going to be a Kendre Miller game. But don't worry, because this is going to be the last game that we have without Alvin Kamara, so that's huge. Anyways, lead receiver, Chris Olave, 6 receptions, 86 yards, followed by Rashid Shaheed, 4 receptions, 63 yards, and Michael Thomas, 7 receptions, 59 yards. I'm waiting for that breakout game, but you know what I'm going to say? You can't guard Mike. And I still need to hit the gym a little bit more. Anyways, the defense just did a good job against the Panthers. Sure, they got 1 garbage time touchdown, but, you know, that's all right. And then the Packers. You know, it was a close game, but you just fell short, 25-24 to the Atlanta Falcons. Jordan Love threw for 151 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. The rush game didn't have much to show as A.J. Dillon only mustered up 55 yards. Lead receiver was Dante Vion Wicks, 2 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Jaden Reed, 4 receptions, 37 yards, and 2 touchdowns a day. And then Romeo Dubes, 2 receptions, 30 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I mean, sure, the only person you had some trouble against was Drake London in the receiving game, but you also allowed 211 rush yards, still proving that your rush defense is not that great like it was in recent years. Anyways, Packers are 2-point favorites to win this one, but come on. Who Dat Nation gonna pull out on top. And now you have our very next matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Atlanta Falcons. Starting off with the Lions. Oh, wait, is it the Falcons that are hosting? Oh, shit, it's Falcons that are hosting. And now you have our very next matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the Detroit Lions. Starting off with the Falcons, an impressive 25-24 victory over the Green Bay Packers. Desmond Ridder, not his best game through the air, threw for 237 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But once again, all in the rushing game, led by Bijan Robinson with 124 yards. And then Tyler Algier, I'm so sorry for the past weeks of the mispronunciation, as he ran for 48 yards. And then Desmond Ridder, 39 yards and a touchdown, combined for 211 rush yards. Like, as long as you're running the ball, you're fine. But if you need a receiving option, Drake London's the guy. 6 receptions, 67 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Matt Collins, 3 receptions, 60 yards. And then Bijan Robinson, 4 receptions, 48 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I would say you did limit the yards. Sure, the Packers still did put up 24 points, but good victory overall. Good win. And then the Lions, just a stunning 37-31 loss to the Seattle Seahawks. I called it. That was my upset of the week, that the Seahawks would win. Look at me now. Anyway, starting off, Jared Goff had a very solid game, threw for 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, but did throw a pick. Lead rusher was Dave Montgomery with 67 yards and a touchdown. Now, he did go out with an apparent injury, so it's Jahmyr Gibbs days now. Lead receiver, who else but Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 receptions, 102 yards, followed by Josh Reynolds, 5 receptions, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Sam Laporta, 5 receptions, 63 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just really struggled against the Seahawks, even though Geno Smith nearly shot himself in the foot in the 4th quarter. Anyways, the Lions are currently 3-point favorites to win this one, and I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread. And now you have our very next match between the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns. Starting off with the Titans, a stunning 27-24 victory over the LA Chargers. We had Ryan Tannehill, who threw for 246 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was Derrick Henry with 80 yards and a touchdown. And then Tannehill also had a rushing touchdown on the day. Lead receiver was Treylon Burks, 3 receptions, 76 yards, followed by Chris Moore, 1 reception, 49 yards. And then DeAndre Hopkins, 4 receptions, 40 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, you had a lot of trouble against Keenan Allen. You didn't force a turnover, but you still won the game, which was very impressive. And then the Browns, you lost 26-22 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Deshaun Watson threw for 235 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He also fumbled the ball twice, and you guys had 4 turnovers on the game. The Steelers defense made you pay for your mistakes. Lead rusher was Jerome Ford with 106 yards, as Nick Chubb had 64 yards. And left the game, and his season's over, and potentially his career's over. So my prayers go out to him and his family during this time. Lead receiver was Amari Cooper, 7 receptions, 90 yards, followed by David Njoku, 4 receptions, 48 yards, and then Elijah Moore, 3 receptions, 36 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, I mean, the main guy that you struggled against was George Pickens. But other than that, it was the Steelers defense that outplayed your offense, and that's the key reason why you lost. Browns are 3-point favorites to win this one, but I just don't really feel that confident in them. Deshaun Watson has not really shown much change, and with the Titans' defense being rather solid recently, Titans pull off the upset. And now you have our very next matchup, a classic AFC South rivalry between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Starting off with the Texans, you lost 31-20 to the Indianapolis Colts, although C.J. Stroud had a very solid game, threw for 384 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Dameon Pierce with 31 yards. Lead receiver was Nico Collins. Very good performance, 7 receptions, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Followed by Robert Woods, 6 receptions, 74 yards, and finished that off, Tank Dell, 7 receptions, 72 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it, but the defense just had its struggles against the Colts and Anthony Richardson when he was playing, but Gardner Minshew came in for most of the game, so you're struggling against him. Tough sight to see. And then the Jaguars, you lost 17-9 to the Kansas City Chiefs. Trevor Lawrence, not his best game, barely completed 50% of his passes for 216 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Travis Etienne. He only mustered up 40 yards. Lead receiver, though, Christian Kirk, 11 receptions, 110 yards. Followed by Evan Ingram, 6 receptions, 57 yards. And then Calvin Ridley, 2 receptions, 32 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, I mean, you kept the Chiefs in check. I mean, Patrick Mahomes was literally dishing it out to any receiver he had, but, you know, you still ended up with a loss in the end. Currently, the Jags are 9-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup, a classic AFC East rivalry and a rematch of the 2010 AFC divisional game between the New England Patriots and the New York Jets. Starting off with the Patriots, it was a respectable 24-17 loss to the Miami Dolphins. Mac Jones was solid, threw for 231 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Ramondre Stevenson with 50 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver was Devontae Parker, 6 receptions, 57 yards, followed by Hunter Henry, 6 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. And then Mike Gesicki, 5 receptions, 33 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, they had some trouble against the Dolphins. I mean, especially against Raheem Mostert. But overall, the big highlight was obviously picking off Tua, as well as that blocked field goal. And then the Jets, you know, I had no expectations going up against the Cowboys, especially with MILF Hunter Wilson. Zach Wilson, man, was not good. Under 50% completion percentage for 170 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 picks. He also led rushing with 36 yards. I mean, when you give Breece Hall the ball 4 times, you're not winning. And you aren't winning anyways with Zach Wilson. Lead receiver, Garrett Wilson, 2 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown. Followed by Tyler Conklin, 5 receptions, 50 yards. And then Allen Lazard, 2 receptions, 23 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense got scored apart by the Cowboys, but that does not shock me.
New England's winning this week.
No, they are not. No, they are not.
Book.
Anyways, the Patriots are 3-point favorites to win this one. Only 3 is surprising. Patriots easily win and cover the spread because, come on, Bill Belichick knows how to fuck around with the Jets. And now you have our very next matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Baltimore Ravens. Starting off with the Colts, a nice 31-20 victory over the Houston Texans. We had Anthony Richardson started off throwing for 56 yards. No touchdowns, no picks. He also ran for 35 yards and 2 touchdowns. Went out with injury, so in came in Gardner Minshew, who balled, throwing for 171 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was Zach Moss with 88 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver, Michael Pittman Jr., 8 receptions, 56 yards, followed by Will Mallory, 2 receptions, 49 yards, and then Josh Downs, 4 receptions, 37 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense shut down the run game of the Texans, but once again, with how far behind they got, it made sense that you couldn't stop the pass game. And then the Ravens, my biggest mistake is that I always bet against the Ravens whenever the Bengals play the Ravens, I'll always pick Bengals, even if it is Lamar Jackson, and that is a mistake because Lamar Jackson cooks up Cincy. Starting off, he threw for 237 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Gus Edwards with 62 yards and a touchdown. You guys had 178 ground yards of the game, which was incredibly impressive. Lead receiver, Nelson Aguilar, 5 receptions, 63 yards, and a touchdown. Followed by Zay Flowers, proven to be an absolute massive, great pick at the draft. He had 4 receptions for 62 yards. And then Mark Andrews, 5 receptions, 45 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. The defense just locked down the Bengals' rush game. Sure, they had a little bit of trouble against T. Higgins, but ultimately they neutralized the Bengals, which was very impressive. Currently, the Ravens are 8-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup, which would have been amazing many years ago when it was John Elway versus Dan Marino between the Denver Broncos and the Miami Dolphins. Starting off with the Broncos. Every time I have faith in you, you screw me over. You lost 35-33 to the Commanders despite a commanding lead, no pun intended. Russell Wilson did look a little bit better, threw for 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. He also led rushing with 56 yards, but what's so wrong with Javonte Williams? I don't know. Lead receiver Marvin Mims Jr., 2 receptions, 113 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Brandon Johnson, 2 receptions, 66 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Cortland Sutton, 5 receptions, 66 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, just a great start, but a putrid finish. And then the Dolphins, an impressive 24-17 victory over the New England Patriots. Tua Tagovailoa, solid game, threw for 249 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Raheem Mostert with 121 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver Jalen Waddle, 4 receptions, 86 yards, followed by Tyreek Hill, 5 receptions, 40 yards, and a touchdown. And then River Craft, he had 2 receptions for 34 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense did a pretty solid job against the Patriots. Anyways, Dolphins are 6.5-point favorites to win this one. And I'm tired of putting my faith in Broncos country, so Dolphins win and cover the spread. And now you have our very first 4 o'clock matchup. It is a rematch of the 2013 NFC divisional game between the Carolina Panthers and the Seattle Seahawks. Starting off with the Panthers, a disappointing 20-17 loss to my boys in the New Orleans Saints. Bryce Young, he threw for 153 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was Miles Sanders with 43 yards. He had 100 ground yards in the game in total, which was nice. Lead receiver Adam Thielen, 7 receptions, 54 yards and a touchdown, followed by Chuba Hubbard with 5 receptions, 34 yards, and then Jonathan Mingo with 3 receptions for 26 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, they had some trouble against the Saints ground game, even though it was most of the damage was done by Taysom Hill and Tony Jones Jr. Asterisks are quite relevant there. Anyways, moving on, Seahawks, a nice 37-31 victory over the Lions in overtime. Geno Smith had a great game, threw for 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Kenneth Walker with 43 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lead receiver, DK Metcalf, 6 receptions, 75 yards. But of course, Tyler Lockett, Mr. Underrated, got the job done. 8 receptions, 59 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. Noah Fant, 4 receptions, 56 yards. That was pretty much it. And I'll be honest, the defense has looked incredibly suspect this year, especially the secondary. So alarm bells, I would say, should be ringing just a little bit for you guys. But anyways, Seahawks, they are currently 5.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say they win, but don't cover the spread. And now you have our very next matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. Starting off the Cowboys, an impressive 30-10 victory over the Jets, but it was led by Zach Wilson, so yeah, proceed with caution. But you guys have looked incredibly dominant over your first 2 games. Dak Prescott threw for 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Lead rusher was Tony Pollard with 72 yards and total of 134 ground yards in the game. Lead receiver CeeDee Lamb, 11 receptions for 143 yards. Followed by Tony Pollard, 7 receptions, 37 yards. And then Jalen Tolbert, 3 receptions, 18 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense, it locked down the Jets, but once again, Zach Wilson led Jets. Breece Hall touched the ball 4 times. Not much else I could say. And then the Cardinals. That was an epic choke you guys had. You led 28-7 and then realized, oh, right, we're tanking. Joshua Dobbs was respectable, threw for 228 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. Lead rusher was James Conner with 106 yards and a touchdown, followed by Josh Dobbs with 41 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver Michael Wilson, 3 receptions, 56 yards, followed by Zach Ertz, 6 receptions, 56 yards, and then Hollywood Brown, 6 receptions, 54 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. And once again, the defense was good up until you were up 28-7. Because then, once again, you realized, yeah, we're supposed to lose really, really badly. Anyways, Cowboys are 12.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say if they win and cover the spread. They've just been so dominant against bad teams this year. And now you have our very next match between the Chicago Bears and the Kansas City Chiefs. Starting off with the Bears, a disappointing 27-17 loss to the Buccaneers. You kept it close, but Justin Fields, he sold through for 211 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks. One of them was a pick six. Like, both of them were at the most critical time in the game. Lead rusher was Khalil Herbert with 35 yards. You know, Justin Fields only had 3 rushing yards in the game. for a touchdown. Once again, you don't beat the Buccaneers through the ground. You beat them through the. You have to beat them through the air. And unfortunately, it just didn't really work out outside of DJ Moore. 6 receptions, 104 yards, followed by Cole Kmet, 4 receptions, 38 yards, and then Mapletron, 3 receptions, 36 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. The defense just had no answers for Rachaad White and Mike Evans. And then the Chiefs, just a bit of a quiet victory. Won 17-9 over the Jags. Patrick Mahomes, he threw for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Lead rusher was Isaiah Pacheco with 70 yards in the game. Lead receiver, Sky Moore, 3 receptions, 70 yards and a touchdown. Followed by Justin Watson, 3 receptions, 62 yards. Noah Gray, 3 receptions, 38 yards. But of course, Travis Kelce, 4 receptions, 26 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. And the defense outside of Christian Kirk was a phenomenal game that you guys played. Currently, the Chiefs are 12.5-point favorites to win this one. I'm going to say that they win and cover the spread because they are going to light the skies on fire against Chicago. And now you have our Sunday Night Football matchup. It is a rematch of the 1972 AFC divisional game, otherwise known as the Immaculate Reception, between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Las Vegas Raiders. Start off with the Steelers, an impressive 26-22 victory over the Cleveland Browns. Kenny Pickett, still not his best, barely completed 50% of his passes for 222 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Najee Harris just was absolutely terrible in terms of the run game. Lead receiver, though, George Pickens, 4 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Jalen Warren, 4 receptions, 66 yards, and then Allen Robinson, 2 receptions, 12 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, the only thing I'm going to rip into you guys for is struggling against the run, but you forced 4 turnovers from the Cleveland Browns, which was amazing. And one of them went for a touchdown. Almost 2 went for a touchdown. But the defense just got it done for you guys. And then the Raiders, just a pathetic 38-10 loss to the Bills. Jimmy Garoppolo, not great. 185 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Your lead rusher was Trey Tucker with 34 yards. Josh Jacobs had 9 carries for -2 yards. That's how bad it was. But lead receiver, Devontae Adams, 6 receptions, 84 yards and a touchdown. Followed by Jacobs, 5 receptions, 51 yards. And then Hunter Renfrow, 1 reception, 23 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just struggled against the Buffalo Bills. But come on, it's a good Bills squad. Anyways, the Raiders are 2.5-point favorites to win this one. But you know what? Going with the Steelers upset here. Because I screwed up on that last year. And it's just going to be a repeat of 1972 with the Steelers victory. And now you have our very first Monday Night Football matchup, a rematch of the 2021 NFC wildcard game between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Starting off with the Eagles, an impressive 34-28 victory over the Minnesota Vikings. Jalen Hurts threw for 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But once again, it wasn't in the pass. It was all on the run. DeAndre Swift with 175 yards and a touchdown on the ground. You guys had 259 rush yards in the game. 3 total touchdowns. The other 2 came from Jalen Hurts. Lead receiver was not A.J. Brown again. This time, once again, Devontae Smith. 4 receptions, 131 yards, and a touchdown, followed by A.J. Brown. 4 receptions, 29 yards, and then Dallas Goedert, 6 receptions, 22 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, sure, you shut down the run, but they had a lot of fun throwing against you guys. But once again, the X factor for the Vikings was the turnovers, as you forced 4 turnovers. The thing is, you just let them make their own mistakes. And you capitalized on that, so a very good job. And then the Buccaneers, a nice 27-17 victory over the Bears. Baker Mayfield gelling already, threw for 317 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. How long does that last? I don't know. Lead rusher Rachaad White, 73 yards and a touchdown. But lead receiver Mike Evans doing his job, Mr. Reliable, 6 receptions, 171 yards, and a touchdown, followed by Chris Godwin, 5 receptions, 58 yards, and then Cade Otton, 6 receptions, 41 yards. That was pretty much it. And the defense, you shut down the run. And you did also shut down Justin Fields, especially in the fourth quarter, with a nice pick 6 to basically seal the game. Currently, the Eagles are 5-point favorites to win this one. And I'm going to say they win and cover the spread because Philadelphia, I say they expose Tampa Bay here. And now you have our final matchup of the week, another Monday Night Football game and a rematch of Super Bowl 56 between the LA Rams and the Cincinnati Bengals. Starting off with the Rams, it was a tough 30-23 loss against the Niners. Matt Stafford threw for 307 yards, 1 touchdown and 2 picks. Lead rusher, once again, Cam Akers getting no action. So Kyron Williams with 52 yards and a touchdown. Lead receiver, Puka Nacua, popping off. 15 receptions, 147 yards, followed by Tutu Atwell, 7 receptions, 77 yards. And then Kyron Williams, 6 receptions, 48 yards, and a touchdown. That was pretty much it. The defense just couldn't get it done against the Niners. Once again, it is the regular season, so Kyle Shanahan is always at his best there. And then the Bengals just, God. Once again, it is another slow start. You had this last year, so that's why I'm not fully killing off my hopes for you yet. Joe Burrow threw for 22 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a crucial red zone pick. Main thing I'll knock him for. Lead rusher was Joe Mixon with 59 yards. Lead receiver, this time T. Higgins popped off, 8 receptions, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Followed by Tyler Boyd, 6 receptions, 52 yards. And then Joe Mixon, 4 receptions, 36 yards. That was pretty much it. The defense just really struggled against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. So currently the Bengals are 2.5-point favorites to win this one. And unlike Super Bowl 56, Bengals are going to win and cover the spread. And that is going to wrap up my video for today. Thank you guys all so much for watching. If you want to watch my last video, click right over here. If you like this video, drop a like, subscribe by clicking over here, or the subscribe button down below. Comment down below your thoughts of who's your upset of the week, lock of the week, favorite team going to win. Follow me on all my social medias, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok at Brent Suter. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day. Who Dat Nation. Still with the Jays gear and the PSG shirt is out.